Welcome to SatoshiConomy, honest global crypto news and info, where the message is more important than the messenger. To be TC or not to be TC? That is the question. Today's video will be a rant, and it will also be an appeal. And I'm just going to start talking. I'm not sure where we're going to end up on this, but we live in truly historic times. And that's one way I want to appeal to all of you listeners, is that this is truly a historic monetary time. In the 22nd century, they're going to be discussing the economics of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in all the classrooms. They're going to be taking a look at the time that we're living in and how a digital currency is revolutionizing what money is. It's revolutionizing the definition of what money is. And when they look back, they're going to see that one of the primary reasons why it is so revolutionary and so important and so world-changing is that it is peer-to-peer. It's not a peer-to-business-to-peer money, which is the way the world has operated for decades and centuries, but it is also a finite supply. The number of Bitcoins that will ever be created is by a mathematical mechanism that's already defined. For example, right now Bitcoins are created at 12.5 Bitcoins that are mined every 10 minutes. In August sometime in August, we know, in 2020, the rate at which each Bitcoins are birthed or mined will be cut in half to 6.25 Bitcoins for every 10 minutes. And it's designed every 4 years that rate will be cut in half up until the year 2140. Yes, 2140. So it's a finite supply of money, which is completely revolutionary compared to how dollars are created. We could say that they are created by a printing press, and the printing press owners are a very, very few number of people, whereas Bitcoins are used and utilized. There's no brick and mortar, there's no officer, there's no office, there's no central controlling powerful point of execution or failure or operation. It's a mathematical equation. So that's one big reason why they're going to be talking about it for decades and centuries from now. And what that means to you and I today is incredible. And that's what I want to appeal to you about today. What is going on is something that very few people will ever, very, very few people will ever have the opportunity to even participate in. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins created. As I mentioned, they'll stop being created in 2140. Of course, the cryptocurrency will continue to be used, but to date, as we speak, there's approximately 17.8 million Bitcoins that have been created. And of those, largely thought, there's a minimum of 4 million of those approximately 18 million that have been lost. They'll never even be able to be retrieved. So in other words, of the 18 million that are possible to be out there in the economy, that have been mined, only 14 million are really available. And what has happened is 4 million, and really I think more like 5 million so far, have been lost because of personal carelessness of the owner. It isn't because of theft or hacks. It's because of personal carelessness, really, truly. You can Google that and find out that what I'm saying is true. So they're scarce. And when you take the number of millionaires on the face of the earth, there's not even enough Bitcoins that will ever be created for each millionaire to have one. And if you were to even take 21 million and divide it up evenly to every man, woman, and child on the face of the earth, each person would have 0.003 Bitcoin. And what is happening, especially in the last 60 days, certainly since the beginning of 2019, and, well, amongst the well-informed ever since 2009, people have been hoarding it. But especially in the last 60 days and since 2019, we have reports of, we'll see, it's open source, where the number of wallets are available to anyone who wants to find out. And the number of Bitcoins in each wallet is something that is publicly available. We know, don't quote me on this, but I believe there are 4 wallets that have more than 100,000 Bitcoin. We know that Satoshi Nakamoto has several wallets, and they have 900,000 approximately Bitcoin. We know that other hedge funds and large institutional investors have been buying up as much crypto as they can in the last 60 days. There's been thousands and thousands of the Bitcoins being bought up. We know that North Korea has been buying Bitcoin. Estimates are they have 500,000, or some reports suggest it's not necessarily provable, but likely that North Korea has 500,000 Bitcoin that they have mined, bought, or stolen. There are also many large, as I mentioned, institutional investors who are buying. Simply put, if you've ever invested in anything, I mean, why wouldn't you try to put a portion of some of your investment, 10%, 15%, maybe even 20%, into buying Bitcoin? The Bitcoin is the number one performing asset in the last 10 years, above anything in the stock market, or above the stock market as a whole, above how gold has performed in the last 10 years. And the number one performing asset in the last 10 years besides Bitcoin is REITs, real estate investment trusts. But Bitcoin has even outperformed that. So it's an argument to say, if you are an investor, or as most Americans have been, then it does make sense to buy some Bitcoin just for the sake that to get one or a portion of one won't necessarily put you at risk monetary. It's not a huge amount, but the reward it looks to be incredible and phenomenal. We look at so many people saying, well, let me just put out my own personal opinion, and for whatever that's worth, I do believe that it will eventually, within 5 to 10 years, and I know that's a long time, but no one knows what's going to happen, but I really do believe that within 5 to 10 years, one Bitcoin will be worth 2 million or more. Now, one Bitcoin, as we speak today, it actually today went over 9,000 for the first time in a long time, and then it dropped way back down. I think it dropped 10%, so that was a huge, there's big thing going on in the market today. But for one Bitcoin being less than 10,000, if you wait 10 years for that to become 2 million, I mean, come on. And even if it goes to zero, well, okay. So that's one great argument. What is happening historically right now is that, and one reason why it is so important and has been a discussion point in all four corners of the earth, amongst the richest and most powerful, all the way down to the poorest of the poor, which it actually benefits incredibly, massively, because the poorest of the poor have a challenge to be even banked or to use banking services, but for them to be able to utilize Bitcoin, they don't necessarily have to have a bank. You see what I'm saying? They can, just with a phone in their pocket and an email account, they can be an international banker. Not have a bank in their pocket. Well, I mean, they will actually be an international banker. So one reason why this is also so historic is that what is taking place is, and is part of my appeal, is a great transfer of wealth, practically unseen, and actually I believe unseen in the history of mankind. This is a one in a life, not in a lifetime opportunity, not in a millennia opportunity, once in a history opportunity. There's a transfer of wealth that is taking place from the currencies that are available all over in the world into a digital form of currency that people have confidence in. We hear proponents of currencies and the dollar, such as Warren Buffett, say, oh, it's the next greatest fool theory. Well, what Buffett is saying is he can't wrap his head around the idea of something that he can't see, touch, or feel as being worth anything. But digital currency, yeah, you can't touch it and feel it, but that is something that millions upon millions upon millions of people are having confidence in. And that is the main one of the main things that has to be there for anything to have value is how many people have confidence in it. And people are voting with their fiat currencies. They're exchanging those and moving them into a digital economy. And my appeal is for you to consider those things, to consider the disruptiveness and the historic times that we live in today. All you have to do is Google things like Fidelity, JP Morgan, Global Coin, LTSE, Gemini, or the Winklevoss twins, or Google BTC, Google Satoshi Nakamoto, Google central banks buying gold, Google decentralized exchanges, Google IEO, and find out some of the things that are taking on in the world that is going underneath a lot of people's noses. I mean, I've talked to a couple of multimillionaires. I mean, we have on average, one millionaire, multimillionaire on every city block. But one man, he's, I'd say mid-50s, and he's been investing in the stock market since he was in his early 20s. Truly, truly a phenomenal individual, had a conviction to begin investing early. He's multi-millionaire. And he won't invest in cryptos because he's afraid, or his actual words. He hasn't come to the point of having the type of confidence that I have or other people have, because he's used to what he's used to. And I'm not knocking him, and I'm not saying this to talk him down. What I'm saying is that if he invests, then it's a reasonable thought to invest something in a juggernaut economy or currency that has great upside and very, very low downside. Another multimillionaire who I've talked with said, "Oh, I'll never invest in those. That's for illegal activity." Well, that will always be available. Actually, the dollar has been a great use case for many illegal activities. So what's the difference? But the activity that cryptocurrencies present are a greatly enhanced security, where the cryptos are secure and verified and very, very valuable in that respect. And also, as I mentioned, they're peer-to-peer, not peer-to-business-to-peer. They involve a store of value, a unit of an account, and that has many mediums of exchange throughout the world. So this is up and coming. It can't be stopped. Recently, there has been the enhancement or development of a radio wave using satellites, whereby even if the internet goes down, that people will still be able to utilize and exchange and transact using Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies through ham radio and through satellite technology. So I'm just pleading. I mean, consider some contrarian thought for yourselves, and consider that really what is taking place on Earth right now is a great transfer of wealth, and the upside potential for it is extreme, and the downside is low risk, because one Bitcoin is 9,000, and you can get even a 10 millionth of a Bitcoin right now. So please consider that. The show notes I will develop with many sources for other websites and other videos. And it's a great service because the research that I've done takes time. And time is very, very valuable. But you can, just click on the hyperlink, go down the rabbit hole there, and come back to the YouTube video and hyperlink on something else. But please, if you have gained any insight or value, please contribute. You have the power to contribute to this economy. Like and subscribe. I appreciate that, and just appeal to you. And until next time, peace.